I just want to welcome each and every one of you. Once again, we're back here at BCHP, and my name is Vincent Yellow Woman, and I've been working with my co-worker Butch Wolflake, and Butch is not able to join me today, and we've been on a long journey since early spring, talking about the residential school experience and so forth. And we started off after when the 215 unmarked graves were found at Kamloops. And so we've been going pretty strong and going and helping people better understand what's going on with in the world, especially in First Nations, in respect to residential school. So I want to thank Nixie BCHP, their ongoing work to educate people, help people understand. And there was a lot of interest, and so BCHP came into the picture to help people understand and to help people know some of the things that we went through as First Nations. So just want to thank Nixie BCHP, the staff here, the technicians, the hard work in putting this together. And so we usually go on live, and because of some technical issues, they're doing recording, and they'll cut and edit this, and then they'll put it out there when they're done. I hope you enjoy the time that Phyllis Webstad came in. She was my guest here, and we had a good conversation on residential school, the founder of Orange Shirt Day. But I wanted to talk to you about today. There's a lot of things happening, especially last week. I don't know how many of you were tuned into your TV, and I was pretty well tuned into it because they came up early in the morning. Sometimes they started at 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, and things that were happening over at Vatican. And so I had a good opportunity to listen to the speakers there, and listen to the Pope, and listen to the key people that were involved with the residential school, and then the apology with the federal government, and then also the apology that came from the Pope last week. So that's really fresh right now. And so as a result of that, there's been a lot of conversation that's been going on. Where do we go from here? Is there more? And what's going to happen next? And so that's been the kind of conversation that's been going. First of all, I would like to say that, number one, I was very encouraged by the Pope with his apology, and he spoke in Italian, and which I understand because I speak fluently my language, and a lot of times to be effective I need to speak my language, and then it will come out in a good way so people that understand. And so he had an interpreter, and when he got to the part of him apologizing, that was very encouraging, and I appreciate that. So it spoke to me, and there was the day before he did the apology. They were asking the delegates over there, "Are you expecting something from the Pope?" And they didn't know for sure if the Pope would say something in respect to an apology. So it was kind of up in the air. But what they were anticipating and hoping that the Pope would be willing to come to Canada and talk to survivors and so forth. And so what happened was the next day when the Pope spoke to the delegates there, and it was really, really encouraging to hear him. And I can't remember if it was the day before or when he made this an apology. He said, "I want to come to Canada. And when I come to Canada, I'm going to come in the summer," which is fine with me. We will accept in any time of the year, but he preferred summer. And so I think, all in all, him choosing to come during the summer is better for all of us. I don't think there'll be a venue, number one, to hold the anticipated capacity and large numbers of people that will be going to see the Pope when he does come to Canada. So there's going to be a huge gathering. So to have it outside, I think it's a good move, and we're just hoping that it'll be a good weather when he does come to Canada. And so the conversation was something like, is that was it from the heart, that apology? It's just the Pope to some people. And some people were saying, "Is that it? Is there more?" I like the chief's response and the national chief's response, and then also the First Nation lawyers that were there that did a lot of hard work. And CBC had Sinclair come on, and they were asking him questions about the apology and so forth. Pretty well all of them were saying, it's a start. It's a start. We got a long ways to go, but we're at a start, and where we go with this, we're hoping First Nations and everybody will have an input, and especially the survivors will have an input as to where it's going to go with this. And I like Phil Fontaine when he said that he talked to us, the chiefs, and the body of those that worked so hard to get the Pope to apologize. He said, now we want him to come to Canada to say an apology to the survivors, those that went to residential school, and in particular, those that went to Catholic residential school. They want the Pope to be able to hear their stories, and then an apology given to the survivors. And so that's a good start, and so we're looking forward. When would he come was the question that people were asking. Is he coming this summer? It might be too early, or are they talking about next summer? We'll just have to stay tuned for that. There's going to be word out from the Vatican when the Pope will come and make that announcement and meet the First Nations. And Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, was on TV, so he was encouraged, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be looking forward to the Pope coming to Canada. And I think it's a good move. It's a start. There's way more that needs to be done. And one of the things that I'm thinking about is what we call, and what people know, and then some people might not know this. It's called the doctrine of discovery. And that's a bad document. It's a very paternalistic document, and for chiefs, they know it's not good. The doctrine of discovery, that documents. So we're not there yet. We're hoping that when he comes, that he addressed the doctrine of discoveries. I hope personally that the Pope would address that, and because it did a lot of harm to our people and our ancestors, those that have gone before us, because of the doctrine of discovery. So that is something, if you don't know what that is, I would encourage you to research and study the doctrine of discovery. And when Butch comes, him and I can have a video on what the doctrine of discovery is. I have an idea, and I've heard some things about what it means, and I've used it in some of my speeches and so forth. And but I think it'd be good for all of us, yourself, me, and everyone, to really look at that and do a thorough research on what that means. And so I'll work on with Butch, and we'll have a session on just what that means, the doctrine of discovery. So that's what took place last week from the Vatican, and there was a lot of spin-offs from that. And so one of the things that took place was that there was a lot of drumming, there was a lot of singing, there was a lot of dancing, there was a lot of people talking in their own language, which I really appreciate. I think, and the Pope was able to see and to hear and saw the beauty of our language, the strength of our culture, and so he was able to witness what we've had, and not like when the newcomers came, they wanted to get rid of our language, they wanted to get rid of our culture, and so forth and so on. And that's how residential school was born, came to being, and to kill the Indian in the child. And so that's what I saw. And when I saw that happening to what they referred to him over and over again was the Holy Father, to see all the dancing and the people from way up north, to see them sing their songs and to see them do their dancing, and then people down south here, and to hear the songs and the drumming and so forth. I didn't get possessed, but back then they said the people would get possessed, and so it was all it wasn't right the way they treated us, and so I saw that, and I was encouraged by that. And I think people need to appreciate who we are as First Nation people, that we have a culture which is very valuable to us. We have our ways, which is very, very encouraging to us, and something that we take a lot of pride in. And of course, our language. Our language is something that is very powerful to us. It's who we are. When we talk about our language, and when we talk our language, and when we communicate in our language, it's very powerful. And to realize the sad part was that they were trying to get rid of that. So I saw that last week. So it was encouraging, and but they had interpreters and so forth, and so I liked that. So I enjoyed. So that's what I saw. That was one of the things that I took away from that we need to showcase our culture, and our dance, and our songs, and the storytelling. Those storytellings are very key and very important to leave with our children. our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren. The other thing I saw, which was the kind of bringing up to speed where we are today. Some of the people that were very were very instrumental in this whole TRC and the apology from the government, the federal government back then. When the key players that were there, one of the key players that I saw there last week was Phil Fontaine. I don't know if most of you realize or know this, but Phil Fontaine was a national chief, and he was a lawyer, and one that did a lot of work for First Nations across Canada. And Phil Fontaine was heard the stories about residential school, and then Phil Fontaine, he himself talked about his experience about residential school, and he shared his stories and what happened to him, the abuse and the sexual abuse and so forth that took place in residential school. I thought that was very key. I thought that was very important. The reason I say that is because Phil Fontaine was in a position where he could do something, and he did. And not only did he tell the story about residential school, but he was able to sit down with the federal government, being in the position of the national chief, and negotiate the residential school. And so him and many others and that did the hard work. And so I just want to say, on behalf of all those hard workers that were behind the scene, and Phil Fontaine himself, so we appreciate their work and the benefit that we received from their hard work. And some of it was hard, and some of it was not something you want to talk about at your dinner table. But those are the truth that took place in residential school. The truth is not always clean. It's not always pleasant. The truth is not always wrapped in a nice wrapping paper. The truth sometimes is very, very raw, and so, but once you talk about the truth and what happened at residential school, and then we can move forward in a good way. And so they did a lot of hard work, and Phil Fontaine was one of those individuals, among others, that those people that led the TRC, those individuals in my books were also very, very, very key, instrumental in bringing to the people, those that survivors, what we went through in residential school. Those were the champions to many of us, the hard work. So we just want to acknowledge those. Phil Fontaine was there, and from the TRC was the chief from Ermineskin. He was there, and he was able to, Willie Littlechild was able to talk to the Pope, and so that we had good representative. Willie Littlechild is also a lawyer, and so he was able to articulate and share the stories and share the message to the Pope and those people there, what we went through as First Nation and the elders that were there. They did a powerful job speaking on our behalf. So those were memories that I had from last week, and when I saw those things, so it all came together. So where do we go from here? Is that enough? There's going to be way more, but it's a start. Like everybody was saying, it's a start. Let's take this day. We'll take it. It's a start. We got a lot more to go from here, and so we'll wait for that. And certainly the Catholic Church will need to release some documents, and they said they will. And so it's the beginning, and where it's going to go, how fast it's going to go, I don't know. So we're going to work, and we're going to see with these people working with each other to make things roll in a good way. So that's a little bit about the summary of what took place last week. So I those of you that saw that, I hope that you were encouraged, and keep them in prayers. And I know they have a lot of work to do ahead of them. So let's just bring them up in our prayers that it will happen in a good way for them. The other thing I wanted to share with you, we had a visitor last week here in the studio, Phyllis Webstead, the founder of Orange Shirt Day, and so it was powerful. And Phyllis was in Calgary that weekend, and Sunday we went to the Saddle Dome where the Hitmen were playing hockey against the Swift Current Broncos. And so it was a good hockey game. And so the Saddle Dome opened their doors, and many people from Siksika came, and First Nations in the Treaty 7 area came to the Saddle Dome, because it was what they called the Every Child Matters game that annually that the Hitmen have. And the founder of Orange Shirt Day was the special guest, and she was able to attend the official opening face-off, the ceremony there. And she was here talking about that a little bit, how she was very moved and to see that happening. And so I talked to her very briefly that Sunday, but I knew she was coming down on Monday, and so I met her that Monday morning, and I told her if she would come and visit us, and that you people can see her on the video. And so she agreed to that. So I was really encouraged with that when she showed up. And you saw her face being painted. And when she came here, one of the elders bestowed on her a Blackfoot name. And so she was very, very encouraged to receive a Blackfoot name. And then they did a smudging ceremony, face painting, and so she had her face painted and so forth. And so she mentioned that there's a ceremony that took place that morning, and that's why you see her face painted. And that's what Siksika does here. And so she witnessed that. She was very moved by that, and so she was encouraged. And she left from here, and then she flew to Toronto, and then she was able to spend some time with the Governor General and so forth. She's a very busy lady, and so we were just happy to have her very briefly here. But I understand that she's coming back sometime soon, and when she does come back, hopefully we could have a longer session with her. She'll know what to expect in this room, the studio room, and so we could talk more about the residential school and the founding of the Orange Shirt Day. And I think it would be good if she shared her own personal story, and we just didn't have time for that last week. So I'm looking forward to that. The result of that game is between Siksika Nation and the Hitman organization coming together. The Hitman organization and Siksika Nation, in particular with Siksika Health, wanted to sit down and work together. And this is where a lot of people, different organizations, those people that have never been to a First Nation, but live in Calgary, Edmonton, wherever, and they want to do something. And what we've said before, in the pages of the 94 calls to action, it outlines how different organizations, in one of those calls to action, it talks about how different organizations can work together with First Nation in a good way. And Hitman and were took the words out of those pages and got together. So it was a no-brainer. It's not that hard. I think a lot of times people make it too hard for themselves. But it was simply saying to Siksika Nation, we want to work together. How can we work together? It was very easy. It was hockey. Hockey. They had something in common. They were professional hockey players hoping to be drafted into NHL and working hard to be seen by the NHL and the scouts and so forth. So that, and Hitman organization know about hockey. And here in Siksika, we have a lot of hockey players. We have young people that play hockey. So that was something that was in common, hockey. So we have something to work together with. So it was a no-brainer. We work together on something that is common. And the Hitman and Siksika, it had to do with hockey. So every time they come here, it has to do with hockey. And every time Siksika Nation goes up to Calgary, it has to do with hockey. So that's what took place in last week and Phyllis Webstead was the honored guest. She was able to meet the organization, the leaders there, the owners, and so forth. And Phyllis was able to be introduced, and I witnessed that. And they gave her gifts, and she was an honored guest. And so she was very moved by the official ceremony of the face-off at the hockey game when that took place. Siksika Nation worked with the Hitmen, and we got some local artists here, and they came up with a hockey jersey. I don't know if you can see this hockey jersey, and the Hitmen used this jersey, and it says here, every child matters, WHL, and that's what they wore that day. So it was a good, behind there it says every child matters. I don't know if I can show it. Right there it is. So, and they proudly wore this. And from what I understand is that all the hockey players in their Siksika's coat of arms. Let me show you Siksika's coat of arms right here. The hockey players that wore this jersey at that game that took place, all those jerseys are going to be put up for auction. And the money they get from the auction, it's going to be donated to a good cause. So, and I assume it'll probably go to residential school somewhere. Those organizations that work with residential school survivors and so forth. So they're doing what they can. And the Hitmen not only wear the jerseys that some of our artists put together. It's really colorful jersey and so forth. But they they invited our dancers and they invited our drummers. They invited our singers to come. And so that was very good. And I don't know how many dancers they had. I don't know. Somebody said 30 dancers. I didn't get the head count, but there was a lot of dancers at the Saddle Dome. And so they were there on the ice, on somewhere in the bleachers and so forth. And so they sang our songs and they did our dance and they wore their full regalia and they were dancing. So that was very moving. That was encouraging. And the Hitman organization was inviting us to bring our culture people, to bring our people that do the traditional values and in particular our songs and our dance. So that was good. That was very good. And so when I just got a call yesterday, there's a group of church in Calgary they got a call for a letter from some organization in Calgary, and they want to help out with a powwow in Marlborough community area. So that church is jumping on board. We wanna help you guys celebrate your song and your powwows and so forth. So it's changing. The paradigm shift is changing from before where it's no good. You can't speak your language. Now they're empowering us to keep on our language and empowering us with the values that we were raised with. So that was good, and I really appreciate that. And so I saw the dancing, I saw the singers, and everybody had a good time. And with me and Butch Wolflake and Eldon Wieselchow, we were asked to do the play-by-play with the Hitman organization and Swift Current Broncos way up in the skybox and at the Saddle Dome. And we would look down on the ice, and they were all on the ice, and it was something to see sitting up there. They asked us to do the play-by-play in language, in Siksika language. So that was good. I think that is very, very, very good move. Hitman wanted to encourage our language to keep on going. And one of the ways that the Hitman wanted to help us to celebrate our language was do the play-by-play. So they opened the door for us. They opened their technician booths and the mics and the wires was there, everything, and we did the play-by-play. So that was very good, and we said it in Blackfoot, and those people that were able to see that, I think were encouraged to hear it. As we had a lot of fun. Me, Butch, and Eldon, we had a lot of fun, and some things that we said on that we're still puts a smile on our face, and we just acknowledge the power of our words and what it means to us. So I just want to say thank you to the Hitman organization and so forth. So that's pretty well sums up what I wanted to share today, and just leave those with you. And I just want to thank once again BCHP, the sponsors of this, and different ones, and hopefully they can get things moving in a good way so we can go back on live. But you will see this on video when they're done with the cutting and then the editing. So thank you. We'll see you again. Thank you. Just want to thank you for joining us again today. It's been a real busy weekend for many of us here in Siksika, and we're very honored to have here in Siksika today the founder of Orange Shirt Day, and she joined us yesterday with the Hitman game in Calgary. The Hitmen have an annual game that they call it the Every Child Matters, the Orange Shirt Day, and so it was a very emotional and quite an experience. I had a lot of fun, and our guest here joined us yesterday at the Hitman game. So I'm going to ask her later to just think about that a little bit and what that meant to her and so forth. And the working with a huge organization like the Hitmen and the Flames Foundation and the work that they're doing. So that speaks volumes. And so we were overwhelmed with a lot of the stuff that they were doing. And we had dancers, we had drummers, we had elders, and there was quite an event at the dropping of the puck and so forth. So she was there, and I'm going to ask her to talk briefly about that. Then also, those of you in the classroom that are listening, I'm going to ask her how she felt about the discovery of those unmarked graves and what they're doing over in their area and so forth. And then whatever happens to come in her, she has a lot of wisdom, has a lot of knowledge, and so we're very grateful that she agreed to spend a little bit of time with us here at BCHP. So I just want to introduce her to you all. Many of you have orange shirts and you celebrate on that historical day. And this is the founder of Orange Shirt Day, Phyllis
Webstad.
Phyllis. Phyllis. How come I keep wanting to say Phillips? Phyllis Webstad. She's here, and we're honored to have her here with us. She's going to explain to us a little bit what I just briefly talked about, and I don't want to give her too much to get overwhelmed with the cameras and the wires and so forth. But Phyllis, I'm so happy that you're here, and then you spoke to us today, this morning, at the Arbor. And so we had a good time this morning. So I'm just going to turn things over to you.
Okay. Yeah. Wade Huidip, Phyllis Webstad, Rensquest, Strucham Hatlam Slakwin. What I said is hello to everyone watching. I'm Phyllis Webstad. I'm from the Kennew Creek Dog Creek First Nation outside of Williams Lake, BC. We are Shawapm or Shuswap. We are one of the 17 bands in our nation, and you're all probably know about the red ochre on my face. I got a name today. I never had one before, and I'm not sure the pronunciation in Blackfoot, but it's I have to work on that. It's Holy Journey Woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
The,
We'll have, is Leanne listening to us? Can she wave at us?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have her.
That's fine,
Yeah.
So I need to work on that. But Leanne and Tyler contacted me to come here to Siksika for the Calgary Hitman game originally, and then we extended it another day for today. And so yesterday The day started about 10 o'clock. We had a meal, and we had different presentations, and I met so many people yesterday. Politicians, chiefs, people from north, south, east, and west that all came in, and the mayor as well, and Chief Crowfoot and I did the puck dropping. That was my first one, but it wasn't his first puck drop. I was quite nervous, and I thought there for a while it felt like I was going to like faint or pass out. There was just so much energy, and I always say from the very first time Orange Shirt Day started, it's been divinely guided. The ancestors and more recently, I know the children are behind the whole movement, and I really felt that in the stadium last night. And I was actually kind of thinking of asking one of them to hang on to them because I was a bit unsteady. And it's been amazing. And in regard to the children, we've always known that they were there. My aunt Agnes Jack, she raised me from the time I was 10, but she did a book called Behind Closed Doors of the Kamloops Indian Residential School, and a lot of the stories are in that book. And when it happened, even though she knew, we knew, it was still hard. It was like having something happen in our own families. We were so traumatized by it. And then with where I'm from, the St. Joseph Indian Residential School, 93 possible graves were discovered. The search started August 30th and ended September 30th, and it's still going to be ongoing, but the count right now is at 93. And I get requests whenever there are discoveries in Canada, but I've declined to speak to any media about it. But I've recently come to realize why I have such a hard time, and I usually start crying whenever I get asked about the children. And what I've come to realize is that everybody in my family is accounted for. It could very well have been anyone in my family that didn't come home. Granny herself, her 10 children, her brothers and sisters, and I could be the one saying I had an aunt or an uncle that didn't come home, and we don't know what happened to them. But I'm thankful that everybody did, and I just cannot imagine what that's like. And my heart goes out to any families that have anyone missing. It's just so heartbreaking, and I don't even know how you begin to handle something like that. And I want to travel and go to communities when they are going through this work and are announcing the numbers that they have uncovered. And I haven't been able to do that yet, all because of COVID and just my own mental state, dealing with our own count. And but at some point I do want to go and to travel and to support those communities that have discoveries. I try to stay away from the word discovery, but I'm not sure what else to use. It was known, so it's not a real discovery. It's maybe a confirmation is a better word for that.
Yeah. So I just want to thank her for sharing that. It's important for for all of us to realize that, especially those of us that went through residential school, and because the white people call it the trigger. Really, what that means is there's things that bring back memories that took place, and so those are. I agree. I share with your feelings when that first came out. The white men discovered these things, but we knew for a long time, and we were telling them that there are graves. There are some of our people never made it home, and they're buried there, and so, but nobody listened to us, and so I'm really glad that now that because of what happened in Kamloops, other reserves are also finding out some more graves that were hidden for a long time. So I just want to thank you for that. And yeah, she had a wonderful experience this morning after our meal, or before the meal. She was honored with a Blackfoot name, and I'll get Leanne to join us in a little bit, and so I don't goof it up, mess it up. So, but anyways, I just want to ask you you know, the enormous work of Orange Shirt, the organization, and it's touching a lot of people, and I know it really has gained momentum, and in Alberta in the last few years, it's kind of taken off, and then those unmarked graves, it just took off, and so we have Orange Shirt Day comes around. I'm busy from morning right till sunset, going to different places speaking, because I went to residential school for 9 years, and there is a play called New Blood. It's my experience in residential school. So those of you, I've mentioned it before, you can Google New Blood, Strathmore High School, and that Strathmore High School has been running that play, I believe, for 9 years.
I watched that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh,
A
good.
few years ago, I did. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. And then all of a sudden COVID hit, so but now they're picking up. I was with them last weekend. We were up in Rosebud. They were in Edmonton. They're going to get invited back to Edmonton, and already in May, June, July, they're already getting calls. And so whenever I get the chance, I go and support them, and especially the Q&A. And we have a mutual friend, Cunningham. Yeah, I just his first name skips my Blair Cunningham works at SAIT, and he invited me up to SAIT, and it was a good time, a real good time of educating the people, and just an awesome experience. So we have different organizations like SAIT, the Calgary Hitmen, Flames Foundation, the town of Strathmore, and different ones are opening up. And it's from the pages of the 94 calls to action, because we get a lot of calls. So the technicians here that do all the videotaping, they get emails, people saying, we want to come to Siksika. What can we do? How can we help? We want to do something. We feel so helpless. Can you help us? And so when you read the 94 calls to action, it's all written down. And Calgary Hitmen is a good organization, an example that we could use. What is something that's common with Siksika and the Hitmen? Hockey, something very common. And so that's what we're using. and it just took off. And that's what happened yesterday, and the first year, and I was up there announcing the hockey game in Blackfoot with Butch Wolflake, my colleague, and then Eldon Wisuchow. The three of us had a booth. We were sitting there announcing the play-by-play in Blackfoot. We had a lot of fun, a lot of fun. So we're looking forward to that again. So just whatever is in your heart. I don't want to pressure you, and I know you have things to do, and so just. But we're so happy that you're with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, whenever I do my presentations, I talk about how I don't have an Indian name. I'm so envious. I'm going to get emotional when people say that they have a name, and because of our Shawatan, the smallpox epidemic of 1862 put us into survival mode, and over 90% of our people were wiped out. And with that, a lot of our culture, and along with it is the name giving and the different ceremonies, and we still don't practice or even know how, I guess. So it's such an honor to receive a Blackfoot name, and I'm going to be talking about it with everybody and anybody that I meet. And Leanne said that I could get it translated into my language, Shawat as well. So I'll be talking to my mom to come up with about how to translate it into our Shuswap language. So it's been an awesome experience. The people of Siksika are amazing, and it's just been a real eye-opener, and just to know that you're here and that I'm welcome back at any time. It's amazing.
Now we're joined by Leanne Slay. Leanne. You've been working hard for the last 2 days.
All my life.
Which is good. Which is good. And so Leanne has been instrumental in bringing our guest here, Phyllis Webstead, to our community. And I'm just going to turn the mic over to her. Just explain to us what happened the last couple of days and today, and then her name.
Okay. We initially brought Phyllis Webstead down to here in our home country, Siksika, for the Every Child Matters Hitman game. They have this, this is their second annual recognition of taking on Every Child Matters as an awareness to I guess to pick it up in their sport. And they had worked with Tyler and talked to Tyler, our CEO for Siksika Health Services, to see if Phyllis can come, because Phyllis is the founder of the Orange Shirt Society. So I connected with her, and she agreed to come. We worked on that short little time that we had to plan her visit to Calgary and out here to Siksika. We're very grateful to have her here in our community. However, yesterday she attended it all started off with the day before. She met with our elders, the former Indian residential school elders. And then yesterday, March 27th, she attended the Every Child Matters Hitman game. And there she was able to participate in the opening ceremonies, did the puck drop, and then the significance of the awareness on September 30th, Every Child Matters, the founder of the Orange Shirt Day. She talked about it. There's a press conference that was held downstairs. So she attended to all those duties. I'd say like over 100 duties within a matter of hours. That was quite a bit of work. And then we were very graced and blessed to be able to invite her here to our community to come visit Siksika. And so we bring her here to the Blackfoot Crossing Historical Park, a place where that signifies our Siksika way of life. The interpretive center here replicates many of our history, our way of life, and I'm very thankful that she's able to come and spend some time with us Siksika. She started off this morning doing a talk about her journey and the background of the Orange Shirt Society. So we brought in our one of our traditional elders, which is Clement Gaksimi, and we had asked him to do our ceremony that we honor our people with the painting her with the traditional face painting of the red ochre. So Clement is our traditional elder. We only have 3 traditional grandfathers here in Siksika, and he's one of the main ones. And then along that, when Phyllis was talking about her story, and she said she didn't receive a traditional name, Clement, I went to go talk to him, and he sat in the few minutes that he sat with it. And so during that traditional ceremony that we had for her, she was given the name from Clement as Holy Holy Journey Women, and that's Natuwaki. Natuwaki is the name that Clement had given to her. He sat there, he listened to her story, he listened to the journey of the work that she has been doing, and it really touched his heart, especially when she said that she couldn't have just did it on her own, that it's the ancestors that are guiding her. They're the ones that are moving this vehicle that she's in, bringing the awareness of the IRS experience, what our people had gone through, and reconciliation, and to the everyday Canadian citizen, the world itself. And we're not looking for sympathy, I'm aware. It's the empathy to understand and get with it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And Phyllis explained to everyone why her face is painted this way. And when you get your face painted, you can wash it off till when the sun sets. But during the day, the ladies will help them to tone the paint down a little bit. But we thank her very much for coming and just helping us out in a good way. And so I just want to turn it over to her. You got any last comments or anything?
No, yeah. I am just so, it's been overwhelming in a good way the last few days, and just some really good memories to take home and to tell the others about, and that I'll be back at some point. Not quite sure when, but I'll be back.
Yes, we are planning to invite Phyllis back out to Siksika, and I'll be hearing from our chief, Ore. They're going to be discussing some dates, and I'll be getting in touch with her. And this time we'll have a better announcement system planned with our people. So thank you, Vincent.
Thank you. And we enjoy everybody joining us, and I know some of you are watching in your classrooms or wherever you are, and you wanna reach out to us again. You can the technicians here always give us the emails that you send, and like we said, it was a good demonstration out of the pages of the 94 calls to action, what the Hitman organization are doing, Strathmore, what they're doing, and there's good cooperation. The town of Carsland this past year, and so many towns around Siksika are opening up and are saying, we want to do something, what can we do? And so they're embracing some of our ways, and they're having princess pageants and so forth. So many of the schools around Siksika, the white schools around Siksika are having Indian pageants, and then when I get a chance, I would join them. And the last 2 weeks there was another pageant that took place. I was really encouraged by that. So thank you, both of you, for coming.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Vincent.
Yeah, thank you.
Hayo kindoni tipata. Ita mskrahkui kuku. Nita patwa pi kitsin ikasimi na kukawa tu yitsipin. Hayo na ko tseptot kitsin na isin. Hani kan stauka kitsmato pi ita mskrahkui. Ano kan stauka kitsmatot no ksahkui. No kat hukinala no ksistiko iknapain. Minokat desk nit nitsiptsapsin nanist. Ni tuita ko katanas skiksu ko manano mix nit ko Mr. Token na. Minako maiks kukin. Okay, kamotsi kinan sa umitsita pita kita waste kukin. Kisto na kitsit kanin. Kitsit kanes kunataps. Kitsit kanawatu waps. Kimat kusikti. Amen.